All right, y'all. I guess we are live. I'll wait to see if this actually connects. Well, it connects, but let's see what's going on. What's up, Johnny? On my commute home from Hollywood. Some people reconnecting. Okay, I guess we're back on. All right. Okay, so the number one question that comes up is, how are you not banned again from Facebook? Well, this is not technically my personal profile. It's not. A brief history of this profile is, my brother from another, Jonathan, who also shares this account, but is not as active because he's not really down with social media, which I understand. We used to play in a band called Persist and Prevail. Back before we formed a band page, we created a profile to begin adding people as friends. So it was kind of like a friend profile. But what wound up happening was, I guess the pages on Facebook, the pages app, the section of the site evolved and it got better, so you technically can use it as sort of like a profile page, but with public features, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, so I add people, so the name is Persist and Prevail. That's never changed. Plus, another reason is this profile does not have quote unquote copyright infringement strikes. I think it's received only one in the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I think we just got one recently, but it wasn't directly from the profile. Is the 2 other pages that are managed through this profile. But let me add some people here to get some input. Because it's gonna get kind of trafficy here, so I have some time to rant about a specific subject. I don't know why that happened. Well, anyway, so long story short, this profile remained intact. We seldom used it because we don't play in a band anymore. We're all different professionals now. We're doing our thing. Of course, you all know that I work at a for-profit audio technology school. And before that, I worked at another audio technology school that's now closed. But just to set the record straight, I use this account, but I'm more active on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, by the way, Twitter is more my style. And now they increased the character count to 280 characters, which is cool. Follow me on Instagram. It's I am Namrok, IAMNAMROK. Same with Twitter. I pretty much, the continuity of my username is spread across the board. But that's just to set the record straight. This is not my personal profile. I kind of treat it as is, but not really, because I like to, share it with my brother from another in case he wants to log on and check out some stuff. But he's not as active as I am. But we're pretty symbiotic in our beliefs and views and opinions. So, I'm not saying I speak for him, because I don't. I'm not his representative. I'm not his publicist. But we've been playing music together for almost a decade and a half. It's like riding a bike. And I have known him half my life, so it's not like, we just met each other just yesterday. We've known each other for quite some time. So just to clear that up, because you do see other people being tagged in the pictures and stuff like that. But the main question is, what happened to your other profiles? So, just to recap everything, before I started using this account, which is the banned account, I was flagged multiple times for copyright infringement. What that means is that, and I learned this just on a whim. I mean, I've known about the Digital Millennium Copyright Act because I am in audio technology, but I also know about fair use. Now, there's certain companies, there's certain corporations that pretty much are oligarchs and really don't care about fair use at all. So what they do is they completely eliminate that middleman factor, and it's kind of like a cease and desist type of thing. So long story short, my main I wouldn't say my main violation, they consider it a violation, but my main claimant was Zuffa, WME, which is now WME, and you might be asking, who the fuck's Zuffa? Who the fuck's WME? Well, they're the owners of the UFC. I would always host. Now, here's the ironic part. I would always host pay-per-views at my home with friends over, and I would pay $60 to $70 a pop for a pay-per-view. And I've ordered at least a dozen or more, and that's money contributed to them. So apparently, when Facebook came up with this feature, for example, the Facebook Live feature, I would Facebook Live everything. I would try to do reaction videos, which is interesting, and you can't turn the camera towards the pay-per-view screen, to the screen that's broadcasting the pay-per-view, because that's infringing on the claimant. I didn't know that, so I got a couple of warnings because of that. And then I would do what was called reshares on Instagram, which then was linked to my personal Facebook profile. So when I would do research, I'm pretty sure you guys know, on the Instagram post section, the page, you get to select your Facebook profile, and it actually, posts to your Facebook profile. Now, for a long time, I didn't really know. I'm like, well, because here's the double-edged sword. There's some content on Instagram that gets posted and it's not taken down for infringement. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, it's fair use, cool, I can just link it to my Facebook account and nothing will happen. And then a personal friend of mine kind of alerted me, is like, hey, dude, you're infringing. Let me show you where you did it. And the quality was bad. It's a 1:1 ratio. I'm like, not really. I'm like, and there's no audio too sometimes. Or sometimes it's a GIF file, whatever. But long story short, I couldn't do that. So it was one after the other. I'm not sure if they just, went ahead and, I'm pretty sure they did this. They went ahead and scanned my profile and found all the stuff from Zuffa and WME that wasn't a link or a reshare on an original post. It was an actual post from Instagram as a video upload. Now, if all of you know very well, if you're an avid user of Instagram, Facebook owns Instagram, which is pretty ironic that all this is happening. But you can't reshare other people's posts on Instagram like you do on Facebook. There's no share button. You have to use third-party applications like Instagram Repost and InstaSave and stuff like that to actually save the content and repost it to your account with the watermark of the username. Of course, I got paid. I would pay for the apps to remove the watermark, but still credit the user. But all that went to shit, basically. And I got flagged multiple times for it, and I'm thinking, like, what the hell? So I would appeal each one and let them know, like, hey, well, I have a couple other, I have other content that I've posted that was never taken down. How is this, any different? They elaborated it's because the claimant is the one filing, which is, you have every right to do so, but that's basically what got me permanently banned, as for infringing multiple times on Zuffa and WME. Okay, cool. So I was like, whatever. But on Instagram, it's weird because you can basically post highlights of, like, for example, I'll give you the most recent example, the Georgia St. Pierre and Michael Bisping fight that just happened 2 weeks ago. Was it a week ago? 2 weeks ago. Literally, you don't have to buy the pay-per-view. You can see the result on Instagram later. But does that keep me from buying the pay-per-view? Well, if it wasn't for the fact that I was at Ozfest that day, in the pit, having fun, then yeah, I would have spent the $60 to watch GSP fight because it's GSP. So why the hell not? But what I'm saying is, it's interesting that Facebook does a great job of filtering all this stuff on Facebook, but it's kind of ignored on Instagram. But I think I know why. It's because of the quality. Everything is compressed down to a different codec, a video codec, and the audio is pretty shitty, which is fine. But what you want to do is get your result, get your jollies off, and then keep going. So that's basically my long explanation of what happened with my other profiles. And I tried to create new ones as well, but it would not let me, because apparently I'm facially recognized now if I want to create a new account. But what's interesting is I'm also on this band profile. There's pictures of my face as well, but it's never been taken down. But I understand why now, because any new account that I create, I think my IP address is linked, as well as other things. I mean, a VPN can save you from that. Plus, you have to upload a picture of your face, and they tell you they'll hold your account from being activated until you upload a picture that clearly shows your face. You cannot wear sunglasses, apparently. Which is very interesting. You cannot wear sunglasses if you're going to use a default profile picture initially when you first activate the account. So yeah, I use this one. I don't share anything anymore on this profile. And if I do, it's a reshare or something that's somebody else posted that maybe they got clearance for or whatever. Maybe they didn't, which most of the stuff on the internet is not cleared. And you might be wondering, well, how does it get past that? Okay, I guess we're back on. All right, so everyone's wondering, how does it get past the gatekeeper? So what I learned is there's this thing called DRM. And every DRM is both convenient and inconvenient at the same time. You might be asking, well, what the fuck is DRM? So DRM is abbreviated for Digital Rights Management. Now, a prime example of DRM is when you buy iTunes music on iTunes, for example. Say you do it on your desktop or on your iPhone, whatever. All those files are encrypted with DRM, which is Digital Rights Management, meaning you can't take them out and move them. They're static. They stay where they are. Now, how do you get past the DRM? There's third-party applications. Everyone's already fucking cracked it. Everyone's already figured it out. You have to pay or download free trials of software that basically strips video and music, audio, of all DRM. Like, basically, it breaks the seal. Like, it takes it off. That way you can move it around and do whatever you want on it. So I think that's how people are uploading copyrighted content. They convert it first and strip the digital rights management from the source, from the content, and then they upload it because there's no detection. It's basically the lock is broken. So it's not decrypting the source. It's basically just smashing the lock and opening it. That's fucking crazy because it exists. So, prime example, the more restrictions you put on people to get stuff, the more they're going to discover how to get around it. Which, there's a pro and con to it, especially in this industry, because now this brings me to, not my rant, but the question that was asked to me earlier this weekend, which I didn't have an immediate answer for, but it took me time to brew it in my head and then offer a reply. One of my students had asked me, like, hey, because I sent out a link on Billy Corgan's segment on the Joe Rogan podcast, and one of my younger students asked me, like, hey, you grew up in the 90s and you played music in the early millennium. Was there more money to be made back then than there is now? And the answer is yes. As a matter of fact, even a 360 deal will get you something, but you had to pay the money back. However, I was fortunate not to be involved with any 360 deals because I wasn't, I knew when to say no and when to back away. The truth is the music industry, everybody wants to be in it. Everybody wants to land in it. Everyone moves from a different state to move to LA just to be, they want to be a rock star, basically, is what they're telling people. And they move with nothing, very little money in their pocket, and they just, whatever clothes they have on their back. Now, I'm here to shed some light on the situation and at the same time offer a reality check because, number one, if you live in the Midwest, if you live in, fucking Maine, Vermont, whatever, and whatever aspirations you have of becoming an artist or being a big-time music producer and whatnot, know this, that do your research first before you get up and leave. If you're just getting up and leaving just out of impulse, it is not the right thing to do because you'll just end up going right back home. So, like, I had a couple people from, for example, a while back, this is a long time ago when I was at another school, someone moved from Oklahoma to LA thinking that they were going to be Skrillex overnight, just because they were very versed and fluent in this digital audio workstation called FL Studio. Okay, cool. You can't really get anywhere without a network. That was what this person did not understand. And then when I shed light on that subject, like, hey, you need to network, they confuse it with being a leech, which is way bad. Like, that's just completely going to blackball you from the industry. You can't do that, and you can't be a dick and a snake at the same time. So what I offer to people that aspire to come to, I'm a native of LA, so I'm born and raised. I've played in bands. I've seen it all pretty much, except for, the millions of dollars that people have pretty much made successfully. But I've seen quite the opposite, where money just completely transforms people. They lose families, they lose their identity, they lose self-worth, and either A, you're in for a miserable fucking rest of your life, or you kill yourself. So I've seen that shit. I chose a different path because that wasn't for me. I didn't like the spotlight, even though sometimes it seems like I do, but I don't. My biggest thing is how can I, the least amount of at least a little bit of contribution that I can give back to aspiring musicians and music producers and whatnot is, and I don't ever want to say that our industry is fucked up, but the truth is it is right now, and it's always been that way in the past, but not to this severity because of the technology that's only fucking magnified it. But you can't be negative about it. Like I've had peers that basically say fuck music and go into like TV and film because they just don't like the people and they don't like the environment. I'm like, well, that's a fucking territory that you choose. I mean, TV and film is not really that much different. You just deal with different egos and assholes. But you can't completely disregard and say fuck music when that's initially why you got into this fucking business in the first place. But also, that's the other thing is don't limit yourself if you move from a different state. Music production is just one dimension of many. There's audio for TV and film, for example. There's production sound, which I fell in love with, and I did it for a while. Because you get to be on set, you get to talk to people, you're not trapped in a studio. This is just my opinion, and I'm only speaking for myself. Production sound for me was awesome because there was engagement, there was interaction, there was travel involved, the money was good, and you can join a union. That's ultimately what I fell in love with was. I basically got the dopamine rush because I was around people that were interesting and shared similar common interests and stuff like that. I did come from music. I'm not dissing music at all, but I'm saying don't just limit yourself to just music. I know you want to be a music performer, a producer, guy behind the scenes. I just want to make beats and sell them, whatever. What I'm saying is, don't just do that. Do everything. Don't limit yourself. That was the biggest piece of advice I could offer to this person that asked me that. So I'm not gonna lie and say, hey, no, fuck music. There's nothing there for you. No, I can never tell that to somebody because that's very discouraging. You can never tell an aspiring anything. No, fuck your craft because there's nothing there for you. And a perfect example was when I was growing up as a kid. I was fortunate enough to hear, hey, no, you can be a professional football player if you just set your mind to it. I got so used to hearing that I gave it a shot in college. But then I realized in college, I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. I'm going to try a different avenue because, truth be told, I got terrified when there was a bunch of grown men trying to legitimately kill you. And being a quarterback, it was tough. So luckily I had a backup plan in my head, and I got into the music industry and the audio business. And here I am now, and I'm digging it. And there's still room to grow because the technology that we're embracing now is only going to magnify it and make it better. But then there's the taboo part where it's taboo to say fuck technology. No, you can't do that. You have to embrace a lot of it, whether you like it or not, because it helps you as an artist. It helps you as an employee. It helps you as a contributor. I also like to use the YouTubers now as a perfect example because they're influencers, and it's because they have their shit together. So But that's basically what I wanted to say, is offer an explanation for why I'm using this profile, and then answer the question of a question of the question that was asked to me this past weekend that took me some time to brew, to kind of let it out in the open air, because I felt like I missed some details when I gave advice. But for a lot of you watching too, like the 2 people that were watching, whatever, whatever you do, whatever you aspire to be, here's my advice: whatever you aspire to be and you kind of failed at it, not kind of failed at it, but you got close, but either you gave up or you chose a different profession. Whatever you aspired to be at one point, you can't tell a child or a young mind, or anyone for that fact, that they can't fucking do it because you failed at it. That is not right. You can't do that. You can't tell them that. You can't say anything like that. Because just because you didn't succeed at it doesn't mean that they won't. That's basically what you're telling them. Like, no, I fucked up, I failed, I didn't do all the right things, so don't do it because you're gonna do the exact same thing. No, it's completely wrong. You shouldn't do that. I don't condone it one bit. Be encouraging, if anything, because just because someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to be the next Dr. Dre, I just make beats," I'm like, cool, all right, well, right on. This is the craft that you have to hone, but then there's more. So learn it all. That's my take on it. So hope this helps, and if I have another rant, I'll just post it and go live.